Welcome back. Today, I am clearing the area behind me. Right now, I'm in the grocery row gardens, but you know, this last video that I did about digging, I've been thinking about it, and I've been thinking there's something I actually like better than digging. That thing is fire. I love fire. So you can change this channel to David the Firebug. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed your April Fools. But behind me here is an area that is going to be expanded into a new food forest. And not like my grocery row gardens where everything is organized neatly into rows. No, we're going more for a natural forest system. In order to do that, we have to destroy the forest. No, that sounds terrible, but basically what we've had is an unproductive mess of oak scrub. We've got Yaupon holly, some oaks, some red maples, and we do have some blueberries scattered around here, and I'm trying to save those as I go. But the unproductive chunk here is coming out bit by bit, and it's being replaced, or it will be replaced, over the course of this spring with a new food forest system. So as you can see, I knocked down this tree a little while ago, and we're lighting some fires back here. Come see the fire. I'm gonna walk backwards all the way to the fire in a very dramatic fashion. Backwards to the fire. Why do you tune into this channel? Why do I have 120,000 subscribers? Beats me. All right. Because everybody's waiting for me to fall, that's why. Check this out. We've got all this brush, and we started a little piece of this 2 months ago when it was drier and all the sap was down, and it started flaming up so crazy that we put it out. But now it's really actually lackluster. It's sort of burning underneath and not doing all that I want it to. Here you can see, this is one of those blueberries I was telling you about. Blueberries are all over the place. This is not particularly a productive blueberry because it's been back in the woods underneath shade, but we freed it up from vines. And the ones that get a little burned or knocked down or whatever as we're clearing, they'll come back. They'll produce berries for us in the future. I was kind of hoping that this stuff would just go up in this huge conflagration, but it hasn't happened yet. Maybe if we just stare at it, it'll do it. Maybe not. But this is the first step towards making a food forest here, is getting this area open, and we're going to select out the stuff that is pretty much non-productive or that we have tons of elsewhere in the actual wilderness woods that are around us. And I'm going to start putting in my canopy trees and my sub-canopies, and I've got to take out the existing vine layer because the existing vine layer is made up of all these little smilax that are coming back from the ground. And unlike a lot of smilax, which actually taste good and are rather like eating asparagus, these are bitter. I know that because I've had my wife eat a whole bunch of them, and she said every single one is bitter. So we've got to get rid of that vine layer. It's really not that exciting, is it? For the next phase of this food forest project, I'm going to start building little islands. And I've talked about the island method of food forest building, and it's one of my favorites because you don't have to do a huge area at once. You just start in little patches and you move out. So I am in my little plant nursery right now, and we're going to see if we can make a little guild, a little island, a little set of trees and plants that will work together and make the first piece of this thing. I've got a couple of Chinese chestnuts here, which I could put out, but I'm not going to yet. I've got fig, this is a red mulberry. I like this. That's pretty. Here's another red mulberry. This one's a little smaller. This one's got berries on it. So I know this is female, and I know that it was not started from a seedling because it's actually fruiting. They must have started it from cuttings, which is good. I didn't know when I bought it. It's kind of a risk because the seedling period on mulberries can be ridiculous. It can be like 10 years before they make fruit, and you don't know if it's going to be a male or female. But this is a female, it's fruiting. I'm going to take this one because any day is a good day to plant a mulberry tree. So this one gets put aside. That's going to be the canopy of our island. Boy, I've got some little plums and peaches here that I started from pits. These are gonna go in there too, but I don't know if I'm gonna jam them in around. That mulberry will get pretty big. Let's take a few of these just for fun. These will get big too, but we can always prune them back. Let's take some seedling peaches, just like Mama used to grow. Peaches and plums. These are cool, huh? The peaches, you can tell they've got the thin leaves on them, and the plums have the broader leaves. Those might also be pluots, I have no idea. Identify this pit in the comments. Let's get tall layer, medium layer. We need a little shorter layer. We've got raspberries. Oh, this is funny. I have a kumquat right here, and the kumquat is growing very nicely, but I must have laid a potato in it. Look at this potato. This is ridiculous. This potato, when I was getting ready to plant, I laid in here, and now it's grown out of the pot. That's kind of ridiculous. I have another thing in here too. It's kind of funny. That's serendipity. Okay, that's shrub layer stuff. This is a cutting of chaya from South Florida. I don't know if it's going to thrive in Alabama, but that's why we plant lots of things. So we'll take this one. What else do we have? What would be nice ground cover? Got this blackberry propagated here. That's an Apache. That could go. Check this out. That's a nice cactus right there. It's starting to grow. I'm gonna let it grow longer before I put it out, but you guys saw me plant this one on camera a couple months ago. We got blackberry. This is cool. A goji berry. You could stick a goji berry in the shrub layer. They can actually be a shrub up to a small tree size. There's something we're missing though. We are missing nitrogen fixers. So we should find a nitrogen fixer. And I fortunately have everybody's absolutely favorite tree in the whole world that I started here. Also on camera a while ago, black locust. We'll plant one of these puppies over here. I think that gives us a pretty good start. Now we can get down to the herbaceous layer. Let's stick a lemongrass in there. There's a lemongrass. That'll do well. Got one more thing that I found here. These are elephant ears. These are just the ornamental elephant ears, which you can probably eat in a pinch if you cook them enough, but I don't really care about that. I need more chop and drop material, and they make a lot of biomass. Plus they look really cool, so let's stick some of those in there too. That'll get us started. You guys knew I would get back to digging, didn't you? It's just a matter of time. Man, there are a lot of roots in this ground. I need an auger to plant in here. Interestingly though, there's a lot of, along with those roots, a lot of organic matter just under the surface of what we burned. I need a pickaxe. Let's see what we got here. These are those amazing smilax vines. I wish they weren't the bitter ones. These things are coming up all over the place in here. Look at that. Even the underground stems have spines on them. That is a mean plant. Somewhere there's a huge tuber. You can eat the tubers, they've got starch in them, but there's a lot of fibers in them. They're kind of hard to deal with. Three hours later. There's an incredible root layer in here that is just amazing. I need a shovel that's like a knife. So there we go. This is officially the first tree of the Alabama Food Forest Project. So we had the Great South Florida Food Forest Project, which is still functional. The North Florida Food Forest Project, which was sold and is still functional. And then I had the Tropical Food Forest Project, which is being sold, but probably not to somebody who's going to maintain it as a food forest. I can almost guarantee that. So that one is rest in peace. Hopefully a few of those trees survive. And then this will be the Alabama Food Forest Project, which I have been encouraged to plant by the owner of this property. So, hey now, I think this one will survive. And it's going to be way different than the last one I planted, and different than Florida, and different than North Florida too. South Florida and North Florida is still a little bit colder here. A little more opportunity for temperate species and less opportunity for tropical species. There we go. So that is our first canopy tree. Now these mulberries, these red native mulberries, can actually get really, really tall if we let it. I have seen these with a trunk this big around at easily 60 feet tall. We don't want that to happen, because then the only thing you get is lots of well-fed birds. We'll keep this pruned back a little bit. And it looks like at the nursery, the top of it was chopped off already. And it's kind of a ridiculous mess right now. I'm tempted to just take the whole top of it off, but I don't know that I want to do that at this juncture, since it's got all of this new growth on it and I just planted it. If I had planted this before it woke up, I would do it, but now that it's put all this vigor and growth out at the top, I think it's kind of risking it to do that chop. I would chop them during dormancy, but right now I'm gonna wait. I'll just let it go in this big mess the way it is for now. We can prune it to shape later. Now I'm switching shovels to this little weenie one, because when you have less blade size like this, the force distribution is better for cutting into hard ground than when you have a big shovel edge. So we'll use this to plant the next ones. I'm gonna put some more chop and drop stuff in here as I get it propagated, but I'm a little light on nitrogen fixing species right now. So we'll just stick that locust right here. Feed our mulberry. Funny, once you get through the first couple of inches of roots, suddenly the ground just opens up and it's really easy. always interested in seeing what the roots look like. Not disturb it too much. Nothing like a pain in the neck, crazy invasive tree. And I say invasive in the temperament sense, not necessarily the environmental sense, as these are native to North America. But they sure act invasive, which is just what we want. Lots of life in that puppy. All right, what do we stick in next? Now I've got this is a lot of ashes right here, which is good because the next plant I'm gonna stick in here likes alkaline soil, and my soil is mostly not alkaline. It's mostly very acid, but where there's been a burn pile, holy moly! What am I hitting? I need a jackhammer.
This video was sponsored by the ocean. If you haven't walked to the ocean in a tiny and perhaps somewhat inappropriate bathing suit in the last year, you're missing out. The ocean, available worldwide.
Sometimes it's just time to dig by hand. All right. Good luck. This is a goji berry. And if it starts to look yellow and sad, I'll just have to throw more ashes on it. Thunk, 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 thunk. Good thing I like digging. So I realize why everybody in the Caribbean would dig with a machete. It's just easier. All right, let's see what we have here. See what the root system of this little seedling peach looks like. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? You'd be surprised with how fast peaches will grow from seed. It is astounding how fast they grow. So I have no fears sticking it in small like this. I know that it's going to do just fine, provided the nematodes don't kill it, some dog doesn't dig it up, etc., so on and so forth. If it gets half a chance to grow, it will grow very fast and can fruit just within a couple of years, even. Very quick. There's one. So you see what we're doing now is we're making this little pocket of life. Putting things here in the ground in a little mini chunk of forest. And I think that it's actually easier to get a food forest established where there was a forest already, because there's already the right fungi in the ground. There's already a lot of life in the ground, and you're not dealing with grasses. Trees like to grow on the remains of fallen trees and all that. So this is another peach right here. If we can make this pocket stay open, just slip it in there. Isn't that fun? And we got one more of those babies to plant. Now remember, if if something ends up running into something else and it feels like it's getting too big, you can always prune it. So if I was like, shucks, you know, this peach or this plum is getting to 20 feet tall, I don't have to worry about that. I can just wait, cut it back at the right time, and resize it. You're in charge. You can do this. In nature, trees are getting cut by things all the time. Young trees get cropped by deer. There's fires, all kinds of disturbances. So this little plum here, if I decide it's really getting too big or the mulberry's getting too big, I'll chop some of the branches off the mulberry that are shading it, turn around, stick them around the base of this tree to feed it. You know, the leaves and branches are always falling on the floor of the forest. It's fantastic. Just feed back to the next tree. You don't have to worry that much. If your spacing got really way too tight, you can always just chainsaw a tree down and feed it to another. And if you're into plant propagation and you're growing your own stuff, it's not nearly so painful as if you paid, 30 or 40 bucks for a tree. In that case, I wouldn't plant stuff really close and then chop it down. But with these guys, what am I out? I bought a bag of plums. I let my kids eat the plums. I let my kids eat a bag of peaches. And then I just take the pits and plant them. So I'm really out nothing but a little bit of time. No biggie. Let's stick some lemongrass down here. Oh, I have to dig again. Good thing I love digging. I love digging so much. Lemongrass is actually a tropical plant, but it will live here because my friend Elizabeth made it live. So it'll actually live better probably underneath a little bit of canopy of this tree than it would if I just put it out in the middle of a field. It freezes back and it comes back from the roots normally, but it'll freeze less if it's got a little bit of microclimate, which is one of the wonderful things about a food forest. It's all the little microclimates you start discovering. I got to a point in my North Florida food forest where tropical plants were living just fine in spots that they wouldn't have lived just fine in just a couple of years previously, because the canopy was starting to close and the cold breezes were blocked. And life finds a way. I don't think this thing's gonna have a really good root system. It was funny, when I was at the nursery, I said to the guy, I said, did you just propagate that one? I was like, I really want an Apache, but that one looks pretty young. And he's like, yeah, I just stuck that one in there. So he ended up just giving it to me because I had a big order of a bunch of stuff. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So we will risk it, but there's really not, like normally if you've got a pot of plants like that, you should, a potted plant, it should have lots and lots of roots in the pot. Not too many, but a good amount. And I knew that this one was just recently propagated. There's not a lot to it, so hopefully it'll grow in the ground. It's got really pretty, I like these pink flowers. The other ones I had have white flowers on them, but you can see the kind of the relation to roses. Being in the same family as roses, these are actually very pretty pink flowers. And this is a thornless variety of blackberry. I don't know why people don't plant things like this just as ornamentals. I mean, why would you go and get some weird, dumb, ugly, boring hedge plant when you could stick blueberries or blackberries or goji berries or something around your house? I will never understand that. But those of you watching me understand. Now this is the important part when you plant trees. Make sure you really soak them in. You gotta get the air pockets out from when you were planting. Make sure they're really soaked. Water them in real well. You want to minimize the stress of planting. But you can see just in just a few minutes here, we've planted a nice little patch of edibles. Mulberry, blackberry, goji berry, got our lemongrass, we've got a plum, and a couple of little seedling peaches. And then I need to do some weed blocking around here, so I got a bunch of boxes from the dollar store, and I will lay them down on the ground. And I'm going to tell you about that, not show you too much because we're running out of light. And I have been really pokey at getting videos up on this channel lately. So my next video will be throwing cardboard on the ground. You won't believe what happens when you throw cardboard on the ground. I threw cardboard on the ground and this happened. No, I'm not even gonna bother showing you. You guys have seen it so many times, the sheet mulching thing. I just want to make sure that the Smilax doesn't come back and eat this entire area. So, all right, I'll show you a little bit. I'll just show you a little bit. You won't believe what I got from the dollar store. All right, so the things I really want to not get weedy. You could do this in grass too, incidentally. If you have grass, you can lay this right over your beautiful St. Augustine lawn. It'll kill it. You throw down some cardboard, right? So now I've got this little pocket of protected area. I don't know that I want to go too close to the trunk here because I want it to be able to be watered, but this will help keep Smilax shoots from coming up over the area. And this being cardboard, it will just break down over time. It's not a big deal. It's just mostly carbon. Cardboard comes from trees, specifically Quercus cardboardeus, which is cut down, unfortunately, in mass amounts to make cardboard. But look at, see, we've got these Smilax here already. So if I see a Smilax, boom, I kill it. Kill it. So, there's a lot that you can't see them, but they're there. So I just want to kind of chop the ground flat enough that I can throw cardboard down. All right, so now I've got my cardboard here. That is Smilax too. I can't even get into it. Other than digging, I really like chopping. Chopping is great. All right, so let's hold it down a little bit there. Nice pieces of Smilax on top of it. Now, if I want to keep these cardboard from blowing away, the first thing I do is water it. And then, ideally, in a perfect world, you would have mulch. But if you soak this cardboard enough, it gets soft, and it kind of just lays on top of the ground and acts as a weed block. And I suppose you could just, I have taken cardboard and just piled it up for pathways. Just laid it on the ground over and over again to cover the ground up. But it looks trashy. So what you should do next is throw some wood chips down if you've got them, or go out to the woods and rake some leaves, throw them on there, go chop up a bunch of grass and throw it on there, whatever you want. That will keep it. Right now, I don't have much to hold it down with, so I'm just gonna throw whatever sticks I can find here. I had all these burn piles, which means I've got some half charred bits and pieces. And I was thinking, hey, we've got a little biochar, we got a little wood for the fungi. We will feed the fungi. We will hold down our mulch. Obviously, you don't have to do this. If you want to just plant your trees and let them go, you can do that too. But there's a lot of benefits to mulching. And of course, there's a lot of benefits to weed control too. But I figured, hey, look, we already had a forest here. Let's recreate the forest. Also, I have a chaya here that I didn't plant yet. So let me stick that in the ground. Chaya is nice. All you have to do is break a piece off and stick it in the ground and it grows. It's super easy. These cuttings have actually been around for months, since Christmas, and they have not died. They still have life in them. They're really kind of waxy, and so they don't die on you. They will die if you put them in water. They rot, but if you just leave them out, they do just fine. So then I'll go and rake some junk and stick it over there. But we have our island started. You get the idea. And from here, we just move across this entire area. All this, bit by bit, we'll shove it around. I've got some big logs in there I could just lay amidst the food forest. And I've got to go get some other larger trees and stick them in here. And bit by bit, we could do islands. But in a short period of time, you could plant a little island like this and just get it started. And then if you want to be really kind of cool, you carry your ground cover layer around with you in your pocket. My two favorite ground cover layers for a food forest, at least a new food forest, are sweet potatoes and pumpkins. Both of them will cover the ground and grow all over the place and suppress weeds. So what I often do is I'll have some seeds in my pocket, or I'll have some sweet potatoes I could just bury, or I'll just cut vines here and there and stick them as I'm going. And when I see these coming up, I come out here with my machete to clear the ground, or string trim, or whatsoever. I just cut around them. But it doesn't matter. If you get a yield out of it, great. If you don't, at least you got some biomass out of it. But usually you can end up getting a few pumpkins in the early stages of a food forest, and you're actually getting some annual yields while you're waiting for your tree yields to come in. And I just saved those out of a pumpkin that we ate around Thanksgiving time, just for this purpose. So thanks for joining me. I hope that's a little bit of inspiration on how easy it is to get started on a food forest. There's a lot more that needs to be done, but we can do it in little measurable stages. Right now I'm working on my book, Create Your Own Florida Food Forest. There's a little booklet, you can find it on Amazon, but I've expanded it to 6 times its original size with a big list of plants, 200 illustrations by a variety of different artists, and it is really an in-depth book with a lot of species in it. And I'm doing it like this. Bit by bit, I'm getting it done, and we are actually really close to finishing it. So when that comes out, I'll let you know. But until then, you can check out the other booklet. It's basically a manifesto on Florida food forests. It'll give you some inspiration. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you being here, and I hope I didn't lose too many people with my digging video. But if I did, those people weren't fun anyhow. So thanks for joining me, and until next time, may your thumbs always be green.
I buried my rabbit neath the cherry tree one fine afternoon. Someday I know that we'll meet again on a fruit salad spoon.
Do you throw banana peels in the trash? Are your coffee grounds also being thrown in the trash? Do you compost ham? Are you sick and tired of all the rules about composting? Do you wish you could compost in a super easy way? And stop throwing things in a landfill? And stop being a terrible person? Click on the link below and sign up and get my new composting booklet, which shows you how to compost easily and simply with hardly any work at all. It's insane how easy it is because it follows natural principles. Sign up now. Quantities are not limited.